Welcome, Paul Jacobs.
Hi Lillian, nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again. I'm very excited to have you with your amazing knowledge and the realness that you bring in the mediumship world. I know that it has really helped me a lot with a lot of things that I honestly, even as a working medium, excluded out of my mediumship. So I want to thank you for being here and bringing that knowledge to the online platform and to anybody that's guided to be here.
That's my pleasure and joy to do. That's what I enjoy doing.
Hey, so I want to start first by saying you were here in Chicago last year and you left everybody with their jaws dropped because of how amazing you brought us into detail with very little technique. And I think the biggest thing we took from you, Paul, was that we were thinking too hard and not thinking at all.
That's right. For me, it has to be simple. And I think the more we can keep the simplicity within the communication, the better. But also, I often say it's like learning another language. The problem is people get complicated in their minds in trying to interpret everything symbolically instead of using the common sense, logic and simplicity of in the clairvoyant visions of the obvious of what's there in the picture. And then we digest that, take the common sense and the logic of what's in the picture, and then simply digest it within our soul through the feelings and the emotions, then to unfold the story behind that picture. It's quite simple, really.
But you know what, Paul? It seems simple, but that's the part you really keep reminding us of. Because what happens is we see the image, and a lot of us want to go into our own conscious mind, and we're not balancing the little bit that we have to go in there to then feeling it out. And that's really something you brought and said, hey, pay attention to the feeling, feel it out, bring it down and feel it out. A lot of us don't really get that, and when we do, it's hard to get used to going.
That's right. I mean, like the simplicity, like I'm just making this up now, saying like you might have a student, they might see clairvoyantly a real elephant, and they might then say to the recipient, your dad liked animals, and the recipient says no, and I'll say to them, what did you see? And they said, an elephant. I said, no, why don't you ask the recipient if there's a memory with a real elephant with your dad? As simple as that.
Because they're looking for the meaning in their own conscious mind.
Yeah.
Then too, what I was saying to you before we started was there's the trickiness of the logical mind too, because we're taught to go into no mind and feel, receive, and deliver. So when we're going into the conscious mind, we're pulling ourselves back and no, I have to stay outside of my conscious mind to do this.
What we've got to realise, the mediumship we're working with is mental mediumship. In other words, mediumship of the mind. There are some people saying mind mediumship isn't real mediumship. It's a load of rubbish, in my opinion.
I don't agree with that at all. I think it's
because we've got to use our minds, but I think it's understanding the three aspects of the mind. We've got the higher consciousness, which is the mind, is the base of the communication, and that's the mind of the spirit within the soul, which then that information then has to come through the subconscious mind before it registers onto your conscious mind. So our conscious mind has to be used as well, and then that's where we look at the logic, and then we bring it down and digest it back within ourselves, then to unfold the bigger story behind the image that they've brought us. So it's quite a simple process, but it's being able to use those three aspects of your mind at the same time, but we have to put the higher consciousness first. So when we're speaking to the spirit world, we speak to them from those ingredients within the soul of the higher mind and the emotion and that power of the spirit that's there within. And that's where we communicate from. I often say to students, pretend you've got two brains. You've got one here to relay and speak to your recipients, and then a brain here within your stomach that you communicate with the spirit world with. But you've got to be able to use the two at the same time.
That's a very good way to put it. Absolutely. And I think that if we want to have a stronger and longer link, and we're focusing on the emotional expression of it, it's so easy when we're bringing it down and just going with the unfoldment here instead
Because
of.
that's right. Because as you if you bring it back within your soul, what's manifested in your conscious mind, you're unfolding it through the feeling, but also through the power will unfold it, and you move into that power then of the communicator. Because we've got to realise there's two types of evidence. There's what we call the practical evidence and the emotional evidence. So I believe a good communication contains both. Some recipients and communicators will need a more practical evidence, and then there's other recipients and communicators who want more the emotional aspect, but we don't know what that need is of the communicator and the recipient. So I believe if we try to incorporate both aspects, then we should cover the need of the recipient and the communicator. So then if we're doing the job really well, then if the recipient and communicator is wanting practical, that will be the emphasis of the communication with a little emotion. And if the need is more of an emotional contact, that will be the emphasis of the communication with just a little practical. So when I work, I always say, because we've got to remember the naturalness in mediumship too. So I never tell a student what to give as evidence. There's a lot of teachers teaching you what you've got to give as evidence. They give you a shopping list. We need to throw that away. So when I blend with the spirit world, I don't decide whether the information is going to start through clairvoyance with the practical or whether it's going to start with the feeling of the emotion. It's whichever one the spirit world needs to bring, but I need to be open with my consciousness to both aspects and then let them decide which one comes first, then use that, and then add the second element.
I love it. And that's very important because we, you know, if we talk about platform, Paul, and I know we did platform as well when you came the last time, what can happen is sometimes we can give the message to the wrong person because we're really not coming into the power and the presence of the need that is coming through.
That's right. You see, what we've got today, which is different to when I first came into this, most teachers teach you only to throw out the communication to the audience. And often many of them will also teach that it's wrong to go direct. And I question, is it they don't teach going direct because they can't do it themselves? You know, you've got to put the question mark there. But if I remember, and I often say to my students now, if you had learned what I had to learn from the first moment, you wouldn't have the problems you have now. I was at the Arthur Findlay College and Gordon Higgenson got me out on the platform, and I didn't know whether I was even a medium. I'd never sat in circle, never been to a seminar, nothing. And he got me up, and the three things he made me do was, who's there? Who do they want to speak to, and allow the power to move you to that person, and then what do they want to say? Oh. He didn't tell me how I'd got to receive it. He didn't tell me what I'd give as evidence. It was, what do they want to say? Oh. And you see, and this is why I find mediumship interesting, because you know you can sometimes listen to some mediums and I can tell you what they're going to give as evidence before they even start, because they've got themselves in a set.
They're like mind mapping, like we need to get
this pattern, you know. And like with direction, you know, Gordon said, who do they want to speak to? And I says, I don't know. And he says, allow their power to move you to who they want to speak to. You know, so if everybody learnt from day one who they are, who they want to speak to, what they want to say, those three simple instructions, students would go far forward in a better way. And that's why I remember in Chicago, there was one girl who was quite new compared to some of the others, and she was having some great results. And I said, that's normally the way. I said, I made a joke and said, we do better sometimes with the virgins. Because the trouble is, sometimes we'll have like experienced students, and then I've got to spend a lot of time breaking down this rigid mindset and pattern that they've got of never saying who the communicator is or adding figure or energy on the end of it, or giving them a choice whether it's mother or grandmother, and then this not having the confidence and the trust to allow the spirit world to move them to the recipient, and they just then keep wanting to just throw it out to everybody, you know.
Yeah.
I teach, you know, I mean, I teach both styles. I do teach the throwing out style as well, but then you have to learn when you can and when you can't. You know, again,
And that's what I love about
you,
what you taught
you,
us.
you've got to use your common sense and logic, you know. So, you know, if you've got a memory of a gentleman who went crocodile hunting, you know you're fairly safe to throw that out. Not every hand in the audience is going to go.
Go up.
But if you've only got a grandmother figure with an apron cooking in the kitchen, looking after the family, and throw that out, everybody's going to put their hands up. You know? So that's where, again, you've got to use your logic, your common sense. It's
very much so, very much so. And I love how, too, with the platform, when we're going to throwing it out, you said follow what you feel. Ask them, you know, ask your communicator, where are they going? Feel it. Go where they're taking you. And I think that, you know, a lot of us, I learned to just throw it out, Paul. I didn't learn to go direct.
Yeah.
So that it's hard to change that.
Yeah, it is. We've got to break a pattern. But you see, like, if you think, I was told to do that the very first time, yeah? So I thought that was normal. Everybody did that. So from day one, every time I sat in a class, a circle, I automatically tried it. And if it was wrong, it don't matter. Throw it out as the last resort instead of the first resort, you know.
Yeah.
But the secret of also doing direction, again, it's using, you know, that power of mind within your soul and your conscious mind. So I might be saying, with my conscious mind, I've received something. I'm saying, right, I've got Dad here from the spirit world, so and so, so and so. And as I'm saying that with my conscious mind, then from my soul and the mind and the power within my soul, I'm saying, come on, move me to where you want to go. So by the time I come to the end of saying, Dad, so and so, so and so, and I want to speak to the lady there, it's doing the two at the same time. Because if you sort of say, I've got Dad here, so and so, so and so, and then sort of like start looking around the room with your physical eyes, then it won't work.
The power's not present, the power's not there.
Yeah, it's the movement of that power, you see.
With everything that you've said, basically, you're saying have confidence in the spirit world. They know what they've come for. They know what they've come for. It's when we want to say, I want this, this, and this, and that, and that we kind of sort of are, I say, Paul, bullying the spirit world a little bit, because you're saying, if you're going to use me as a medium, you got to give me this, this, and this. But that's like saying that everybody in the world has the same personality or the way of communicating.
That's right. You know, I look often, and with all students, at different degrees of development, the thing that stops them the thing that holds them back or stops them going forward in a stronger evidential way is because they don't trust and they're scared of being wrong. You know, sometimes I will say to a recipient when they're trying to decide whether to say yes or no to something I've said, I'll say no to me, then I'm not bothered about no's. I'll sort it out.
Yeah, if it's
Give
a
me
no,
no,
it's
you
okay.
know, I can work, you know. So I'll invite a no, you know. It's so you've got not to be scared of no's because you'll play safe. And this is what a lot of people do. They will receive something, which is the same as me, that may seem a bit generic, but then they throw it away and go searching for another generic instead of deepening the evidence. So I might say, oh, there's a man here and he's bringing back memories to do with a boat. And I can throw that out and a dozen people can put their hands up, yeah? But if I say, oh, there's a man here bringing back memories with a boat, and then as I'm saying that, come on, I need more. And then I say, oh, it's a speedboat. He would have also gone water skiing. Yeah.
There you go. Instead of you trying to place it with, you know, and you trying to figure it out by yourself.
You know, if we're going to throw out, it's got to be that more individually factual. Yeah. If we're going direct, we can start off with a little bit more generic, yeah, and build it, and then move to the practical. But if we're going to throw out, we've got to start with the very heavy practical first.
Solid, something unique, a unique
That's
piece of
right.
evidence
Well, something that you're not going to get everybody putting their hands up. There are some times when I have had to throw out, and I've given the information, and nobody's put their hand up. So, but I would rather that happen. I'd rather that happen than 20 people put their hands up, you know. So then I still, even when that happens, I stay trusting. I've actually turned around and said, I know I'm correct. There's somebody not responding, and you're not getting any more until you respond. And then someone would say, well, I do, but I was waiting for more. I said, right, now you've responded. I'll give you more, you know.
One of those days, yeah. But it is so, and I think knowing the difference, it gives us direction. So we have generic, what do we do? This is something you teach. If we have something that's practical, how do we work with that? That's you also what you bring us to and help us navigate in your platform class. How do we navigate that? How do we go find where we're going? How do we expand in a platform setting? Because that's so different than a one-on-one.
That's right. And this is why you've got to be able to do it quickly. So if you're trying to work it out what you've got to do next here in your conscious mind, then it won't work, because it takes time and you're thinking about it and analysing it. I find if I ask, and when I say ask, and this is probably our fault as teachers in the past, when we said to you, ask the Spirit, we didn't tell you how. So most people were asking in words in their head, so your own head will answer you back. You have to ask through your feelings in the emotions, and you will find the answer will come before you could even translate it into the verbal word.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I remember when I was in class, I kept putting my hand on my solar plexus to remind me, you know, come from here, come from here. It's just, it's amazing. And I think, like you said, even if you're a working medium, I mean, Paul, you've been doing this for 30 years.
Yeah.
And what I like about you is you're still so relatable today in 2019. You're not with your teachings to me, you don't put us in a box. You don't tell us how to be. You teach us how to get to where we need to be in a reading.
That's right. So I'd say, you know, in sort of like, yes, I will do exercises to help you to experience and expand and unfold on the different elements, like the emotional level, evidence, the practical through the clairvoyance. But when it comes to doing a contact as a real thing in a class, then I give you no restriction on how you receive it, and I give you no restriction on what you should receive as evidence, because then we're having the naturalness, because at the end of the day, we're supposed to be proving there's another mind, another intelligence there. They know what's needed. They know what evidence needs to be brought, and they know what you're capable of receiving at that particular time. So if I'm sitting there controlling it, saying, I want clairvoyant images of this, what if my energies and faculties at that moment aren't right for clairvoyant imagery? I'm going to be stuck. My own mind will be creating them.
Because you're not going to get something that's going to continue to expand and unfold.
Yeah, and that's why sometimes when I'm, like, say, if I'm doing clairvoyant exercises with these students, I'll say, look, for some of you, in the exercise is not going to work for you. I know that to start with. I said, because I'm putting you in a rigid box, in a forced situation. So you'll be trying too hard in your mind. And also at this time, your faculties might not be right to receive the clairvoyance. But that's okay, as long as you're understanding, and I can see you're understanding how to work with that imagery, even if it is your imagination, then I'm quite happy. You know, it's getting people in that sort of right mindsets. And we've got two types of people. We've got those who've got very sort of analytical type fixed minds, which we have to break down. And then we've got those minds that are very loose, but too loose.
Like mine?
A little bit. Where the mind's jumping all over the place. Yeah, right. And Joel's all right. I find, this is me, you know, my way is not the only way. It's up to students to decide for themselves what will enhance their mediumship the best. But I sometimes find students are too wordy. Yeah. So, you know, if I can say a piece of evidence in 4 or 5 words, I'll say it in 4 or 5 words. Whereas some students will take about 5 or 6 sentences, but then the more words, the more sentences you use, the more complicated you're making it, and actually the more looser you're making it. And then you use one wrong sentence or one wrong word, and it'll cause you a no.
You
And
set
then
yourself
sometimes,
up for unfolding it yourself.
yeah, and then if you say too many words for what you want to say, then the recipient is sitting there, their mind's trying to follow and then work out what you mean, and then they might work it out wrongly, and then it causes you a no again unnecessarily.
Mm-hmm. And I like that too, how, okay, one of the things too, brilliant, that you reminded us of in class was, hey, you have a piece of evidence, why would you go snatch another one? Why would you go, if you haven't unfolded that one,
yeah,
you're going to, you want to be comfortable, so you're going to get another piece of evidence.
That's right, because
you say so much about that one.
That's right. If you get a piece of evidence, you state it, and then your mind goes, will then go searching for another one. So this is where then your own mind can create it. But if you just digest that first piece and unfold the evidence and the story, it will naturally unfold and lead into new, different evidence without you having to search up here in your conscious mind for it.
Yeah, 100%. And I know for me, sitting in as a working medium and also somebody that teaches, it was so nice to be on the other end, Paul, to really see that, you know, the more you work with the spirit world, the more you respect them, the more they respect you, and the more that they become more human. And that respect, it gets stronger, and your confidence as a medium gets stronger. When I saw you in the platform, and I remember the next day I said, Paul, how come I don't feel tired? How come after, and this is something I never experienced with no other medium. I said, I noticed that after platform, I wasn't tired. I didn't feel like I was, you know, you have sometimes in the beginning when you're doing platform by yourself, you've been up there an hour and a half, you kind of feel a little bit like, okay, I'm done. Let me go get something to eat to kind of ground myself. I didn't feel as tired. And that to me came from your 30 years or plus of experience in holding the power up there.
Well, but you see, but also if we're working and that power builds well, and it doesn't matter who we are, how long we've experienced we've got, how good we are, the degree of the building of that power will vary from demonstration to demonstration.
Okay.
But when we really build that power and stay in that power, then afterwards I can go and party all night. I'm not tired at all, you know, because if you think, if you're in that power, it's leaving a residue with you. So you benefit from being in that power, you see.
Yeah. I mean, but I got to tell you, I felt different. And okay, you brought up a good point, which is how you held the power then, how you held it and you kept it. And being in the platform with you, I felt that, Paul. I felt the difference. It was fantastic.
No, I can remember driving Gordon Higgenson to a big meeting in Scotland, and it was for 2,000 people, and he demonstrated for 2.5 hours solid, and it was one of the best demonstrations. All his demonstrations were good, but it's one of the best demonstrations I'd ever seen him do. And on the way home, I said to him, how can you demonstrate to such a quality for so long when most of us struggle for 30 minutes? And he just looked at me. He just looked at me and smiled. He says 2 things. 1, you've not developed your own power enough. And 2, you don't know how to use and manipulate the power throughout the demonstration.
I definitely felt the difference. I really did. I got to tell you. I even say that all the time. Like, that was the only time I felt different. And it made me realize that I really need to pay attention and be mindful on how I'm working with the power within the room.
That's right, because you see, our own power has got to be strong enough anyway. But then also we can take advantage of the power of the room and we can take advantage of the power from the audience as well. So if we can add those two things to our own power, then
it's exciting. It's like a buzz in your body. That's why I don't sit when I read, because I'm like, and I saw that in you. I love that you were like, when you read, your hands start moving and your body starts going, and you're with whatever you're saying. You understand? It's almost like you're going with whatever you're saying, and that's something so felt within the audience and with who's there.
That's it, because you got to realise when we're working and we activate that power and moving in that mediumistic consciousness, there's a quickening that takes place within, so that you'll find should bring a reaction to the physical body as well. Okay, we've got to make sure we keep a certain control of the physical expression, that we don't become in an irritating way to people. But you've got to become emanated. That power's got to shine through you, and also, I say to some students, when you give that communication, it really comes across as if those people are really dead.
Oh.
That person's got to come alive through you, because as far as the audience is concerned, they are dead. So that, it's not just the words, it's the feeling, the expression, the emotion. If I've got your dad in the spirit world and your dad's here and he was a real funny man and he liked to joke. If he was a funny man, he joked.
How was he funny?
You've got to express it, and bring him alive with it.
It's so true. And, that's my thing. I think for me, when I decided to I'm sorry, guys. I started with Mavis, and then, I fell in love with you. And to me, it's what I have got from that, and you both studied with Gordon Higgenson, is the love that we start to develop for the spirit world. And that love, for me, it really gave me not only a stronger love for them, Paul, but a stronger respect. I want to be the best vessel I could be. So all of my own personal needs kind of went to the side. Let's go. Come on. What do you want to say? What are we saying today? What is the message?
I'm glad you used the word respect, because it's what I'm always conscious of, is having that respect, and that I'm representing and being that link, not just for the recipient, but also for the spirit people as well, Wow. So it's and also sometimes even the recipients have got to understand is that the communication isn't just about their needs; it's also about the needs of the communicator too, And I think sometimes we forget that a little bit. So,
Yeah, 100. I'm sorry, that's the dog, but I think that we are very lucky to have, and I have to say this, individuals like you that have had a passion for mediumship, Paul, because this road, this journey is so much more than a message. This is a healing that happens not only for this world, but also the next. Both. The souls are healing. They're happy. They have a voice for that moment to say something perhaps they never thought they would be able to express. So that's for me where my respect comes. I don't want to misinterpret or say something they really don't want to express. I want it to be pure.
That's right. But also we've got to realise, you may have some people who come to a demonstration who are sceptical and still leave sceptical, and that's fine. But it's still achieved a purpose. Even if it only comes when that person comes to pass, their mind will be more open to their new life, where before their mind would have been closed to it, to that change and that adjustment. So it doesn't matter what somebody's acceptance is of what we do, when they listen to us, it will make a difference to them.
I really love this, and it's not easy, Paul. It's not. Anybody that you have to be committed, and there has to be a passion, because for me, and my God, I don't know half of what you know. I'm literally on this journey for a short period of time. But the one thing that I know that I understand is that if the respect is there and the love, of this, many will fall off. They won't continue this journey because
That's right.
it is very, you have to heal as a person too.
Gordon Higgenson often used to say, he used to do a lecture, and it was called "Many are called, but few are chosen." Okay, and you see, I've seen people with good potential, and I've even got to the stage of becoming working mediums, but they fell by the wayside because they hadn't got what it takes to fulfill this work, and the consistency, the stamina, the commitment, the dedication, and also those who maybe have developed it to a certain degree, but they haven't built a strong foundation to their power through that self-development and self-awareness.
Yeah, that makes sense. So much sense. And I think that, let's talk a little bit about something, Paul, that I think needs to be understood. I think that when someone's choosing to work with a teacher, they should perhaps read about the teacher, see if it resonates. Not every teacher is going to resonate with every student. What do you have to say about that, Paul?
Yeah, in the beginning, because, we've got to look, everybody's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. So, in the beginning, I'd go and listen to different mediums, watch them work, listen to what they're saying in their talks, but also, particularly if you want to be a demonstrating medium, watch how they demonstrate, because whichever the style and way they demonstrate, they're going to teach you in the same vein. So then you've got to look at, is that the type of medium I want to be? Do I want to be a medium that just throws it out to everybody? Am I somebody who just wants to say with the generics, or this rigid, constant, the same type of evidence every time of the mother or grandmother who liked looking after the family and was caring and liked the flowers, it's not wrong to give that.
It's not wrong, but to me, it's like to say that every communicator had the same personality or the same way of bringing communication in any way, even not only just when they're on the other side of life, but when they were here. But that would not be true. We're all different, and we all communicate differently.
That's right. But I think a student, once they get to a certain stage of being committed to this is what they want to do, then I think they need to too many run about seminar after seminar to too many different mediums.
Mm-hmm.
And what it is then, those teachings conflict, quite often, and this is what gets me. Okay, but it's up to the student to decide whether it's that medium style or way, or mine, or somebody else's. But don't keep going to different teachers that are conflicting in their views of the teaching, because you end up in a complicated mess. I might have a student, I might say, look, from my point of view, that's not good. Yes, but last course I went on, the teacher told me to do that. And I said, well, it's up to you now. Try my way this week, and take it home, digest it, and decide which will enhance your mediumship the better. So, okay. So what I always say, is like, okay, doesn't mean if you decide my way is your way, doesn't mean you've only got to come to me, but go to other teachers that teach under the same umbrella.
And I gotta tell you, Paul, that's why I'm here with you, because I really took a liking to Gordon Higgenson. And once I found out about him, just, looking at the videos, and it resonated with me. That part of the soul resonated, which you bring in, which you push out. So you're going to feel that connection. And I've stayed with that. And I'm excited you're coming back to Chicago, because I have not taken a class. I'm committing to you because I chose to commit to you. And not only that.
See, you did those 2 courses with me last year with your students. So, so if you, from then to me coming this time, if in between you go to a teacher that teaches conflicting or opposite, then when I come back next week, I've got to start all over again with you.
Yeah. And not only that, Paul, listen, whenever I do take a class, it takes me, no lie, and I'm a working medium, but I say it like it is. I'm not, it is what it is. It takes me a good maybe 6 months to get out of bad habits and really bring what is resonating with me, but that I was not taught now, into what I'm doing.
That's right. You see, and this is right. Okay, might be doing myself out of students, but I'm saying to some students, you're going on too many courses with too many different people. You're doing a course and then you're jumping into another course 5 minutes afterwards, and you haven't digested, you've done nothing with what you've been given from the previous course. So when I used to sort of like, I only used to do 2 courses a year. And then I would like put into practice or try to develop what I got from the course, go back on the second one to see if I progressed and what I needed to work on and move forward with from the next course.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and like I said, like a working medium, and I teach as well. But that leads to a whole nother question too, Paul. I really love the information you gave me, where you said a lot of students say, when am I ready to charge for a reading? When do you feel that I'm able to be in a place that my foundation is strong enough? And I know you had mentioned something about it's anybody can just obviously go about what they feel. But what do you feel is an appropriate time that a student should unfold and strengthen their mediumship, that they won't hinder their development and they can start reading and becoming a working medium? And obviously that differs for everybody, but what is your view?
You can't put a set time on it, and this is something I did which helped me. What I did, I think for about 12 months, and it's not fixed, it's got to be 12 months, I had an aunt where one evening a week, she would invite 4 people from a neighbourhood or from a work, and they would come for a private sitting with me, and they were told that I was not overly experienced, I was newly developed medium, and we didn't have a set charge. We had a donation box for a charity, and then really the results from those sittings spoke for themselves when they were ready. So I was putting myself in a professional way, but without the pressure of am I good enough to charge or not, because I wasn't, and they could freely put something into the charity box or not, and you can tell from the reaction in the city whether you was good enough or you came up with the goods or whatever. So I think doing that for about 12 months helped me then move forward to doing paid private sittings. With demonstrations, I went out, I think it's good to go out with another experienced medium first, where you can just do 2 or 3 contacts. But then also you've got to be careful though. Some mediums start to do that when they start out, and they carry on doing that too long. And that's not good, because
practice readings? You mean practice readings?
No, I'm on about public demonstrations now. Right, so it's best to share the platform with a more experienced one to when you first go out, where you can just take part of the demonstration. But then, really, I think Gordon took me out for about 6 demonstrations, where I shared the demonstration with him, and then after that he said, right, you're capable of going out on your own now. But I've seen some mediums who do that, which is good, but then they do it for too long, and then they find they can't work on their own because they need the crutch of the other person. So it swings and rounds about. But it's a good way to start, because doing the whole demonstration on your own for your first one is a biggie, So it's better having somebody else there. And then Gordon said to me, he says, and when you do share a platform with other people, only go on the platform with somebody better than yourself.
It's nerve-wracking, let me tell you.
Yeah, but if you think me, a total beginner, novice, going out with the greatest medium of the day and sharing the platform with him, But what that made me do, it made me to aspire to the best I could be, because I didn't want to let him or the spirit world down, and I didn't want to let down his belief in me. So it made me aspire. So when he says to me, only go out with those better, he didn't mean in a avaricious way or a competition way, but he said it'll make you aspire to reach more, because you want to, be there with that experienced one. So, and also sometimes some of those mediums, even when they've been professional, even when I've been at Stansted and they've become teachers at Stansted, they've said to me before a demonstration, "Oh, we're all nervy." And I said, "What's the matter with you?" "Oh, yeah, but we've got to demonstrate with you." I said, "It should be me who's more nervous." And they said, "Why?" I said, "Because people know I've trained you. So if you all have a good demonstration, they'll expect me to be even better. So the pressure's on me, not you."
It is so hard. It is. Or when you were here in Chicago and you were like, "Okay, who's gonna go? Let's go. This is the exercise." Silence in the room. Nobody wanted to go up. And I went up there, and I knew that pressure was there because I was a teacher to some. But Paul, being uncomfortable is good, because being uncomfortable means you're open to expanding, to growing.
It's like even in the classroom, because I'm one of these teachers who believe in not asking the students to do anything I can't do myself. And I always think a practical example, a student understands better than just a verbal explanation of an exercise. And I say to the students, "Look," I say, "I'm a teacher, and the example for me might not go as well as I would like, but I'm prepared to do that, and you expect me to do it perfect, but I might not do it perfect. So if I'm prepared to do that, you as the student, there should be no problem or fear of you coming out and doing it, and whether it works or it doesn't work for you."
Yeah.
We've got to stop being, in the classroom, and I keep saying to students, stop holding yourselves back. You're in a classroom. You've got permission to be wrong. This is the place to be wrong.
So you can
why are you holding your mediumship back? Because you're scared of being wrong and scared of going a no. It doesn't make sense. I'm not going to give you a 5-year prison sentence if you're wrong. I might make you stand in the corner for an hour, but
you can go a timeout.
Yeah.
Okay, and I want to talk about something as well. We're gonna, you and I, we're the same. We're kind, but we say it like it is. For me, when you came to Chicago, I had many students that were a bit intimidated because you are a teacher that is very firm in the foundation of what you teach. And they didn't take the class. And when they saw the outcome of those that did, they regretted not taking the class. I think that when you're teaching, you're there to teach. And any student that takes a workshop should not look at the teacher like a friend, which you're hilarious and I love you so much. You have me laughing so much. That's why we call you Uncle Paul. And you jumped in there and you laughed with us and you made us laugh. But when it came to really bringing information, you helped us stay on track. And that's what a workshop is about,
I mean, at times, I do get a little bit upset because, from different countries around the world, I hear this, students say, "Oh, well, these other students or this other teachers told me not to come to you because you're too hard, too strict." I says, "No, I'm not. I have a discipline, yes." I said, "But what you've got to realise is some of these other students saying this to you. What you remember is that most of them are working mediums or people who class themselves as advanced students. So I take them in such a way." And I say to them, "If you want me to take you as kindergarten, I can do all the soft, gentle if you want. But if you're an advanced student, I shouldn't be having to wear kindergarten gloves, And then also, again, I have to accept, this might not be right for him to say, but there's a lot of mediums out there who are jealous. And so of me, what it can be like in our world. It can be a nasty world.
Oh, this year that's so much.
And I had to put up, so much. I had a student come here in Germany to my House of Spirit, She said, I've been wanting to come to you for a few years. I said, well, why haven't you come? She says, well, another teacher I was with said, don't go to Paul, he won't help you. And she says, why? Paul doesn't like fat women. I says, you what? I've never heard anything so ridiculous in my life. I'll help anybody. I love nothing. All I want to do is aspire people to reach the best. I have mediums come and they think what they're doing is wonderful because lots of other teachers tell them what they're doing is wonderful. I had a guy in America, he's just done 2 years progressive course with me, and I could see, I said, what's the matter with you? And he said, I'm frustrated. I said, I'm sorry if I made you frustrated. He said, I'm not frustrated with you. He says, I've spent thousands and thousands over the last few years going to all these courses, and they've told me that there's nothing else for me to learn, I'm ready. And he says, coming to you now, I've realised there's a lot more to learn and that I'm capable of a lot more than what I'm giving, But, so I could have been a teacher and just said to him, lovely, nice, but his mediumship would have stayed here. But now he's taking his mediumship to there.
And I love that you said that because you even took me as a teacher and you sidebar and you talked to me and you gave me great advice and everything that you had. You're a very amazing man, teacher, and you're somebody that really loves mediumship. So I say to people, if you love mediumship, go to a teacher that has a passion for it too.
And if any student can take their mediumship to a level that's more than what I can do, wow, I'm happy. I've done my job well. I sometimes wonder whether some are scared of the student being better than them. But if I demonstrated with you when I come to Chicago, and you have a wow night over mine, I'm not sort of. I'm over the moon,
Really, you've been really great with me, and I'm very thankful for you. I really am, and I'm not brown nosing. You and I'm kind, but I'm direct. You're kind and you're direct. I just have to say that if mediumship is what individuals are wanting, and they're wanting it like it is, no, fluffing. Let's express it. Let's bring the memories to life. Come on out, join Paul. He travels. You can go to his website at mediumpauljacobs.com. Again, his website is mediumpauljacobs.com. And Paul, you travel everywhere. Where are different locations that you go to throughout the year? I know you're coming to Chicago again in March.
Yeah.
2020.
I think I'm in about, I don't know, 8-9 different states in America next year, Canada as well, Australia, UK, Ireland, Holland, Germany, Sweden, Switzerland.
I'm excited. We're live right now in the Mediumship Development Support Group. We have Australia, we have Canada in here, we have so many people. Friend Paul, if you never heard of him, there's another interview we did on my YouTube channel. And again, you can go to mediumpauljacobs.com. If you want somebody that, just keeps it real and has a passion for this, I'll tell you, fall in love with Paul. Paul, I am very honored that we get along so well, because unfortunately in this field, it was disappointing to me. And I don't mean to be negative, but I'm going to say like it is. When I started this journey, I thought it was all unicorns and fluffy, clouds, and everybody was kind to everybody and everybody respected everybody. I was like, oh my God, thank God I don't have to deal with the office politics. But that's not true. The more that you continue to push through this journey and you're seeing, it gets a little bit weird.
I mean, the more you shine and the more successful you can be, the more you have to put up with it. You think after 30 years it would have stopped by now with me. It gets worse with people trying to bring
Paul, I
can't. But I've got that conviction, the truth. I know the reality. And, okay, I might make mistakes. I might get things wrong. I might upset somebody sometimes.
But you're still human, Paul. You're human.
Intentionally. but I know my motive and intent. And this is where I say, you know, what every medium's got to remember, when they go to the spirit world, the medium and teachers, they are answerable for every word they've said in their name. And that's scary.
It
And
is.
that's what I'm conscious of, you know.
You taking it back to, yes, exactly. And that's, you know what, Paul, there's been times that I've wanted to just, I've been so disappointed and sad about certain situations as a teacher and a working medium in this industry. And I've wanted to come back and say words, but I've stopped and said, Lillian, that's not important. What's important is what you're doing for the spirit world, how you're giving them a voice. Stay in your heart and keep moving through it. Don't get arrogant, but know the confidence that you should have in what you do, and just keep going.
That's right. And also, you know, never lose sight of your motive and intent and why you're doing this. That's once you lose that, then you've lost the plot, you know. And it's just something, you know, we can easily move out of. It's something I have to do, this self-reflection and self-awareness still, you know. Like, I can remember once driving I was going to take a church service, and driving in the car, I said to the spirit world, you know, the last few demonstrations haven't been what they should have been. You're going to have to pull your socks up, you know. And I heard this voice say to me, why are you doing this? What was your intent in the first place? And I had to be true to myself and acknowledge I was no longer doing it for the right intent. I was going out to try and prove how good Paul Jacobs could be.
Oh, Paul, you make me cry. That's what I felt this year.
I got to that church, I went back to my true intent, and every communication that evening was somebody who funeral had only taken place that week, or the funeral hadn't even taken place.
Wow.
Because I'd gone back to the intent. And you know, I'm not, you know me, I'm not all love and light and fluff. But, you know, honestly, it is one of the most important ingredients every medium's got to have, is the motive and the intent. Doesn't matter whether you become well known, successful, doesn't matter if you earn good money, doesn't matter if you get fame or you get TV, as long you've got to always, that right motive and intent has got to stay there. And like Gordon Higgenson said, we've got to be careful of the materialistic side. It's like a magnet that pulls you in, but you don't realise it's happening. So again, self-awareness and development is not just for the beginners. It's something all of us, even the experienced ones, have to continuously do.
And I felt that way this year. I'm emotional because, you know, I feel like I'm so thankful and grateful for you and what you just said, because I didn't realize, for me, what I did this year, to be honest with you, is I wanted to bring teachers to students. Like, hey, that's a great teacher. That's a great teacher. And I think I got too involved with that, Paul, and I lost a little bit of focus. And I felt exactly how you said. I wasn't where I knew I could be. Something was off with me. And, you know, I had to regroup again and be with myself and go inside.
Yeah, and also what we have to be careful of, and I'm not referring to you in this, what some mediums have got to be careful of, new mediums want to jump into teaching very quickly, and what you've got to be careful of is that when you're teaching and with a group, they are using your power. And if you have not established yourself strong enough in your own power, in your own mediumship, then it will take away from your mediumship if you teach too early.
Yeah.
I can remember when I was still developing, the group I was at Gordon's Church, and the classes weren't going to take place for 3 weeks. So I said to the group, well, you know, we can meet up at my house for 3 weeks, you know, to keep us all together. And Gordon Higgenson came back and he blew a fuse at me. He said, I hear you've been teaching. I said, I haven't been teaching. And I says, I invited people to my home and we had a circle. I wasn't teaching them. He said, well, how did they do? I said, they did quite well. And he said, don't you realise they only did well because they were using your power, and your power is not strong enough yet to allow other people to use it.
And you know, it's so true, because you can, it's like you said, you can just move into that place, because you can mentally do it. You're like, I'm ready. Oh, I could do a reading for 30 minutes. I could do a reading for 50 minutes. I'm ready. I'm ready. Paul, I've been developing and working for a total of 14 years, and I still work on exactly what you just said, my power. I still work on that. Okay, what I realize as I'm going and becoming more mature as somebody that does take time to teach, first of all, I was giving too much of myself on top of it all, Paul. I wanted to please all my students. Number two, I was giving them false hope by saying, yeah, everything is because I was coming with my heart. That doesn't help a student. You can't. You have to keep it real with your student. That was not, this is your potential. You weren't at your potential, but this is how you can get to your potential. That's a big lesson I learned through this journey as well. And also, be mindful. How many hours can you work without you feeling depleted? Don't overdo
That's
it.
right. That's right. I know it's like, you know, when I do workshops and seminars, and my students will say, "Oh, is there any chance that you can do as a sitting at the end of the day?" And I'll say, and I feel awful, and I'll say, "No." Oh, well, why? And I say, because you'll want the best you can possibly have from me. I says, but after working all day teaching, I haven't got the mental energy or the power to do it, you know. Not that, you know, it's like if I'm going to do sittings when I'm away teaching, it'll be a separate day from when I've not been teaching all day. But when students keep saying, oh, can you do as a sitting at the lunchtime? Can you do as a sitting on the night? So they don't realise, you know, you've got to preserve. And sometimes you also, you know, you need your own space as well.
For your
Because
own personal life, for your
that's
personal
right.
life, because it could affect your personal life. You might not have energy for the things you need to do with your family members, your partner, you know, things like that.
That's right. You know, you've got to try and keep a little balance there with it. But, you know, even like with students, I'll socialise with students, but also even that can be work sometimes. And also, even though it's in a social environment, they're still taking from you.
Paul, I learned that the hard way, and I'm a giver, so it was so bad for me, Paul. I used to be drained. My muscles hurted. I would get dehydrated like this. And now I obviously have created a schedule. I do this on these days, this on that day, and I want to give my 110, Paul, also.
That's
But
right.
I think the reason why, in my opinion, people start teaching too early is because they think, oh, I could do a reading. Oh, they're thinking mentally. They're not thinking energetically, Paul. They haven't even got to that experience, to the experience to see that that is what's happening, the inpouring and outpouring.
And sometimes what they do also when they teach too early, they're using, maybe taking an exercise from a teacher they've learned from, okay, but they don't either understand the teaching behind it, and they don't know the right time and the right situation to use that particular exercise.
And they don't know how to explain it. And
Uh,
eventually, unfortunately, they fall on their face and they come full circle. And then it's sad to me and you, I think, more because they get discouraged. Then they get discouraged, and it's sad because perhaps they had 110% potential, but they kind of, you know, got discouraged due to that outcome or that situation. Oh, I thought I knew everything, but oh my God, I got so much to learn. So guys, anybody that's watching this, anybody that's guided, you know, please listen to the wise words. We definitely, I've not been doing this half of the time that Paul's been doing it. And every year I go through learning curves. Every year, Paul, I realize certain things that I'm doing as a medium, as a regular just human being, and also as a teacher, you know. So I want to say I'm excited for you to come out in Chicago.
I'm looking forward.
So I'm going to be posting for you guys the Paul Jacobs website link down below. And also I'm going to be posting the links for our Chicago workshop. He's going to be doing a 4-day mediumship and a 4-day platform. We only have probably one per platform, and that's probably going to be filled within the next 24 hours. And then we have a mediumship class that Paul will be doing. I have the honor and the privilege of taking the platform with Paul. So if you're in the Chicagoland area, Wisconsin, Michigan, drive out, come and check us out, come and see his brilliance. I'm not brown nosing. It is amazing to watch him.
Don't forget, like, especially, I don't take these very big groups, you know, of 30, 40, 50 people. You know, I limit the group so I can give everybody.
And it works out so well.
Time, you know.
And now I understand everything that I see that you've done, that Mavis has done. It just, every year it's more clear to me why you guys do what you do, even as a teacher, because like you said, imagine a class of like 70 students, Paul, and you're holding the power for that. And it's that's a lot. How do you, I don't know. It's just,
you can't to be fair to the student, you can't take 70 students for demonstrating mediumship. You know, it's not possible. Yes, you can teach the philosophy, you can do tutorials, but if people wanting that practical individual help in demonstrating mediumship, or even on the one-to-one time to have proper feedback of what took place and happened, I find as a teacher it's not possible to do that, you know. And I've started calling some of my courses under the microscope, because you see a lot of students go to courses and the teacher doesn't really know what they're doing. So when they come to me, they're under the microscope because I want to know everything they're doing or listen to everything.
And it's so true, because you said to each and every one of us, you knew the level we were at. Yeah. Okay, for these people, this is what you're gonna do. And Lillian, you know, you really should challenge yourself. You know, so you knew the levels we were at, and you based what you gave us also based on the need of the group. You did that. You came with an agenda, but then you also said, okay, this is the need. Let's go in.
That's right, you know, like your experience. So I'd have to raise the bar for you, and there was somebody who's not so experienced, still want to do the same exercise, but I will just put the bar a little bit lower, so see if we can reach that, and then move them to the next bar. And that's the way you have to take people as individuals.
Yeah, I love it. Well, I really thank you. Hello, everyone that has joined us on Zoom or on live in the Mediumship Development Support Group. If you're watching this and you're on YouTube, please go to Paul's website at www.mediumpauljacobs.com and see what he has going on. Perhaps he might have something in 2020 going on in your locality. If not, he will be here in Chicago with me March 2020. We are going to have a ball. It's always great to have Paul, but come ready to work. And thank you, Paul, as always, for your knowledge.
Our pleasure, Lily.
Thank you so much.
It's pity we couldn't carry on talking for another couple of hours.
I know. This is us. This is what we do. But thank you so much for everything that you do with us here in this world, also the spirit world. I'm telling you, Paul, I'm going to really respect the teachers that have been doing this for many, many, many years. It takes commitment, dedication, sacrifice, so much, Paul. You know, when people say, I want to be like that, there's so much behind it. The sacrifice of the traveling, being away from your family because of the passion and the love that you have for this, you know. So, you know, if you're committed, come to Paul, check him out. We look forward to seeing you guys. Love you, Paul. Talk to you soon.
Can I just wish everybody and yourself a Merry Christmas and a wonderful and great New Year too. Yeah.
Before you know it, you will be in Chicago.
Okay.
Bye.
That's wonderful. Take care. Lots of love to everyone.
Bye, Paul. Bye, everybody.
Okay. Bye. Bye.